What if we redesign Disney World in the same way we've designed the rest of the US? We'll start with Magic Kingdom. It's arguably the most iconic one, with some of the most recognizable theme park attractions in the world. There's the castle, Space Mountain, and of course, Main Street USA. The thing is, while Main Street is beautiful, if we're going to turn Magic Kingdom into a place for cars, it's going to need some changes. The problem here is that Main Street is the only way in and out of the park. You can already see how busy it gets with people walking, but once we open up the space to cars, it's going to become an instant traffic jam. Cars take up way more space than people walking, so we're going to need to find the space to accommodate them. To do so, we'll move over the buildings, giving us more space to increase traffic capacity through this main bottleneck. We'll do 3 lanes in each direction, along with a lane on each side for parked cars. A road this size should help with the traffic flow, but now it's terrifying to cross the street. That's okay though, because we can add some crosswalks to give people a place to cross. But the issue is, even with crosswalks, nothing is forcing vehicles to actually stop. Ideally, we could add some traffic signals here to make it a safer crossing, but that would hurt the flow of traffic every time someone wants to cross. That's why the US has created guidelines for when you're allowed to install a traffic signal for pedestrians. There has to be a minimum number of pedestrians that use the crosswalk in order to justify the delay for drivers that a traffic signal would cause by letting people cross safely. But unfortunately, too many people were scared to use this crosswalk without a signal, so the data doesn't support adding a signal. So the brave ones can risk the crosswalks, or they can drive across the street if they need to get over to that side of the street. That is, if they're lucky enough to find a parking spot. We did add on-street parking, but it's always taken since people want to get to these shops. So we need to create more parking spaces, and we've got some space up here to do so. We'll turn all of this into parking, which adds 72 spots. This definitely helps, but legally it's still not enough. The thing is, these buildings have about 50,000 square feet of retail space, and if we look at the county's ordinance of minimum number of parking spaces required for 50,000 square feet of retail space, it means we'd need to have 275 parking spaces, and that's just for these buildings. These buildings over here are going to require even more parking, so we'll sacrifice these buildings in order to build more parking. We're still 27 spaces short, but we can find some room further up. We also need to figure out what to do with the road itself. This is the point where you branch off to different sections of the park, so we need to create a way to distribute all of this traffic. With it already being a circle, let's make it a roundabout, which will help to make sure all of the vehicles stay moving efficiently. We'll add some signs as well to make sure people know where to go. We can fill in the rest of the space around it to get those extra parking spaces. So far, this is looking great. We have a strong start to make sure we won't have any traffic backups and plenty of places for people to park. Let's keep going over to Tomorrowland. Space Mountain is the star of the show over here, and we need to make sure that it's convenient for people to get to it. Unfortunately, that means we'll have to make some space to do so. Right away, I noticed that this land is filled with these support structures for the Tomorrowland People Mover. These are definitely going to get in the way of building a road through here though, so let's get rid of it. After all, it's designed as an urban mass transit system of the future, and we're trying to build like the rest of the country. We don't have urban mass transit systems of the future here. With that out of the way, we can extend the road and add some parking for Space Mountain, because it'll definitely need it. But the question is, will it be enough? People riding the Carousel of Progress or going to the Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor show are going to need a place to park too. Just to be safe, we should probably add some more, and moving further up to where the Tomorrowland Speedway is looks like a perfect place. I don't really think we'll need it anymore, as the entire park will kind of feel like a speedway now, so keeping it feels a bit redundant. Instead, it can become a big new parking lot. Overall, this version of Magic Kingdom now feels a lot more like the real America, which really makes you question if building our real world this way is the best way of doing things, or if we should take a few lessons from Disney when it comes to redesigning the places where we actually live our lives.